Hello, I'm Reverend Rick, and it is my honor to be with you today. We really hope that this video is a blessing to you. And if it is, please consider making a donation. People watch our videos locally when they cannot necessarily come to church throughout the United States and the world. So please join us and click the link below and make a donation. Thank you, and let this be a blessing to you.
If you would, please repeat after me. I love me unconditionally.
I love me unconditionally.
I love me unconditionally.
I love me unconditionally.
I love me unconditionally. I grew up outside Detroit, and it's like if you said that, you were a... What? You what? First off, I just want to thank Reverend Georgia Preston and the CSA community. I thank you for your consciousness and for the community that you created. It's like the world is here. The world is represented there. I send greetings from Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith in my Agape community, because I know that he would want me to send. I came up with I love me unconditionally as a mantra for this year. At the meditation retreat that I just did music for with Michael Beckwith, the silent retreat out at Joshua Tree. And it's like, what is your intention for this? What is your intention for this retreat? And what came forward is, I love me unconditionally. And I've been hearing my wife say that for years. She said, you know that I know that you know that you would thrive if only you would love yourself unconditionally. And I know none of you relate because, you know, you're all floating in your meditations. And those thoughts of, I'm not enough, I'm too fat, my teeth are this or that, don't come up in this community because you're sailing beyond that, which I acknowledge and I appreciate. But in my world, I battled with this. So my intention became this year to love myself unconditionally. To love myself unconditionally. You know, I thought about it while I was working on this. I sat with this talk over the last couple of weeks. And a thought occurred to me. It's like, well, maybe it's in my DNA. And at that instance, the thought that came through was, it's like, I'm not of the DNA of my family of origin. I am of the DNA of the infinite. My DNA is of the infinite. I can look at facts and figures and percentages and all the things that come up that tell me that, well, I'm likely to do this or do that. But it's like, I am of the DNA of the infinite presence of God. The agape love, the unconditional love of God. And I know that. And when I got here, I didn't know that. I got to Agape in a very dark place back in 1994. And I didn't know that. God was out there. God was on a cloud. And it's like if the chalkboard that was in front of God that had my name on it was completely white because I was such a sinner. I was so bad and I was so wrong. It's not the truth of who I am, but that's the way I viewed myself. That's how I perceived myself. I was bad, I was wrong, I was dirty. Those were just thoughts that continued to flood my thought until I began to change my thought. Until I got into this teaching and realized that what I think I become. I know that we've all heard that. What I think I become. So how am I holding myself? Not only have I fought forgetting and remembering who I am, but whose I am. Not only do I battle with forgetting and remembering who I am, but whose I am. That infinite presence of love that is within me, that is in within each one of us. It's not outside. I had a download at the age of 17 in the height of my drug and alcohol abuse. And I was coming down off something one morning, and what came to me was, God's not out there, God's within me. And we're not right, and they're not wrong. And I looked around and I was like, what the? I didn't know where that came from because I was not hanging out with metaphysical people. It's like my heroes knew how to drink and get drunk and go to work the next day. They knew how to score dope and they knew how to get laid. That was Mecca for a young 17-year-old boy. Any guys relate to that? Anybody guys grow up with that? That was Mecca. It wasn't until I got sober, and it wasn't until I got to Agape that I realized what those thoughts were, because I hung on to it for years. God's not out there, God's within me. For a 17-year-old, staunchly Catholic boy, altar boy, all the things, Catholic school, that was blaspheme. But I kept seeking. I kept searching. And I eventually got to Agape. And I began studying the science of mind. I had chanted with the Hare Krishnas. I had chanted with the Buddhists. I had gone to gospel churches. I'd gone all kinds of places looking for God outside of myself until I came here and realized right where I stand is the infinite presence of love that indwells me. And it so loved the world that it created me and everybody in this room to express more of itself as its life. I had another awakening. I had the awakening that I had been molested. It came back to me when I was 38 years old, more than 20 years after it started happening. And it's so interesting to me that what I experienced is people that are victims of sexual abuse in their life tend to blame themselves. I blamed myself. And those thoughts of I'm bad and I'm dirty were derivative of what happened to me, and it wasn't about me. And it challenged my ability to love myself unconditionally because I was bad and I was dirty. Because that was my thought process. I had done something to provoke it or invite it in my life. And the long story short, I eventually confronted my uncle. And in the process of the weekend that I was around him and knew that I would have an opportunity to confront him and say, I know what you did to me. I'm aware of it. And talk to him about it. I witnessed him running around this family reunion with that purple Crown Royal bag, sneaking his drink, sneaking around like no one was looking. And when I went to confront him, while for years I had dreamt of beating him because I was so angry after I had found this out, I went to him and I felt compassion. I felt compassion because I knew if I had still continued to drink and use, I could be him. I could be him because all filters come off when I drink and use. I don't know about y'all, but me, gloves come off, filters come off, and I can go anywhere. But I broke a chain. I broke a chain. I broke a family chain. I broke a family agreement in confronting. So getting back to loving myself unconditionally has had to change. It's like this wasn't about me. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not dirty. I am of the infinite. I am of the DNA of the infinite love of God. And when I remember that, and when I practice on a daily basis, because I have to do it on a daily basis, because when I start forgetting is when I don't have enough time to meditate, and I don't have enough time to pray, and I don't have enough time to focus on my breath. And I just get out in the world and I start living on life on the world's terms. And I begin seeing the commercials telling me that I'm not enough, that I'm getting too old and I don't have enough hair, and my teeth aren't the right color, and I'm not this, and I'm not wearing the right, and it's like these orange pants are just a little too bright for you men your age. Not. But when I get clear and I get still on a daily basis, I begin to see God in the most unexpected places that become the most exceptional places. I see God on the 405 as I'm going over the Mulholland Pass at 8 o'clock in the morning. I see God in my downward dog. I see God in every one of you. I had someone tell me a number of years ago that an exercise that I could do that would help me was to go to the mirror and look in my strongest eye and say, "You're beautiful. I love you." So this is what it looked like the first day. Oh, hell no. Oh, no. It took 6 months for me to stand in front of that mirror and say, "You are beautiful." And I probably said it with tears in my eyes. And it took many times of standing that where I couldn't say anything because I couldn't believe it. Until I got in the mirror and looked in the mirror. And then I met my wife, and she had like post-it notes all over the place with affirmations. It changed. Kind of became embarrassing when my friends would, it's like, "Dude, what do you got hanging up on your mirror in there?" You know? It's like, I love myself unconditionally, you know? It's like, I'm beautiful. It's like, what's that all about? Come to my church and I'll show you. So if you would, please repeat after me. I love me unconditionally.
I love me unconditionally.
I love me unconditionally. I love me unconditionally. I'm grateful for this teaching because it awakened something inside me. It awakened my awareness that God was not out there, that God is within me. And that we're not right and they're not wrong. That every spiritual tradition has truth in it. And some people take that truth and warp it a bit and have a tendency to make it sound like my God's better than yours. And you're going to hell because you don't believe in my God, and you don't love who I think you should love. And that's not what goes on here. We honor all paths that lead to that infinite spirit that's within us. We honor all paths. We honor that within each one of us is that infinite DNA that we are truly from, that our essence is from. We might have come through our parents, but we are not of our parents. We are of that infinite love that is God. And God so loved the world that it created each one of us to express more of ourselves, and more of itself as our life, as we go forward, as we serve. So I invite us all to remain in that devotion, to take the time on a daily basis, because I realize that my prayer or my church doesn't need a building or a set time. It can happen at any moment. It's just the awareness of my breath in every moment. That the prayer can be, "Oh Lord." That the prayer can be, "I love you." That the prayer can be, "I love me unconditionally." So we are all a prayer. And we come into this community to reflect the prayer and seeing the infinite within one another. So once again, I honor Reverend Georgia for the consciousness that she's created, because I look at this beautiful community. Yes. I look at the beauty within this community and within each one of you, and it's part of a vision. It's part of a global vision, and we are part of that global vision. So I hope for each one of us to go out this week and to love ourselves unconditionally, right where we are, knowing that we are of that DNA of the infinite, and knowing that our prayer is our walk in life and our service in life. So if you would, one more time, just, I love me unconditionally.
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 Let's pray. Mother, Father, God, infinite spirit of life, the allness, the isness, the perfect peace passing human understanding, I'm grateful for the conscious realization of truth. That right where I am and right where each one of us is, you are in your infinite nature. We are of your DNA, and we come forward to be the love. We are the ones that we've been waiting for, and we are the love that we seek. We are the seeds we are sowing, and we are the harvest we reap. So we take and put into mind, in the conscious, in the infinite presence, that we love ourselves unconditionally. So we can go forward and love the world unconditionally, because the world is in desperate need of unconditional love right now. It's not in need of judgment right now. It's about suspending our judgment and standing in the truth that that infinite nature of God is in everyone, even if they're not expressing it in this particular moment. They're there for a reason, so we just bless them right where they are. We bless them right where they are. And we bring this consciousness of unconditional love from the inside out and share it with the world, that we get to be the beacon. We get to be the beacon of love. The beacon of love. I am just grateful, 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 grateful for this hallowed ground upon which I stand, where each one of us stand on a daily basis. And we go forward and spread this hallowed ground. Wherever we go, we walk and we leave light in our wake. We leave love in our wake. We are the examples. For this and so much more, I am grateful. I am so grateful for this community. I am so grateful for this day. I bless this time. I bless our journeys as we go forth to spread that unconditional love from the inside out. And I release it and I let it be. And so it is. And so I am. And so we are.
And so we are.
Peace and blessings.